Hello students, welcome back to your English class. I hope you're all set for the last set of the chapters from your supplementary reader. Today we are going to read the Comet 1 and 2. And all those science buffs, the ones who love science and the ones who love English, this is a perfect combination for you guys. Because this chapter is a perfect mix of science and literature. Okay, because it has been written by a scientist. So the writer of the chapter is Jayanti Narlikar. He himself has written books that give you alternative theories, different theories which can be an option other than the Big Bang theory. I hope you all have read about the Big Bang theory. If you haven't, Google it a little bit. It's one of those theories that talks about how the universe was formed, and you will really enjoy it. Now, before we begin, I want all of you to pause the video and find out what a comet is. I will tell you, as we go on in the video, I will tell you what a comet is, but I still want you to make the effort. So what do? You pause the video and try to find out what a comet is, okay? Now, let's read about the author. This is how your author looks. The author's father, he was a mathematics professor in Banaras Hindu University. His mother was a scholar of Sanskrit language. So he had that incline, the good impetus he needed for getting better at his own studies. He himself got his Bachelor of Science, later on went to Cambridge University. Then he was a fellow at King's College. And he is internationally known for his work in cosmology. Now what is cosmology? Study of the universe. Okay, so he has given alternative theories to the popular Big Bang model, just like I mentioned previously. Okay. Now, if you did bother to find out about the comet, wonderful. Otherwise, I'll let you know. Comets are like small planets and they revolve around the sun, but they come from afar, and so they appear after years and even after centuries. Then they disappear. That is why you can always discover a new comet. Now there's a difference between comet and planets. Planet has a regular revolution cycle. Okay, the path on which the planet revolves, it is fixed and it is not erratic. Whereas even if the comet is attracted by the sun and even if it revolves around the sun, the path is very erratic. At some places it will be too far from the sun, somewhere it will come too close to the sun, okay? Second thing, comets are not part of the solar system. They come from some other part, okay? And they are attracted, and that is why they revolve around the sun. And they are not permanent like the planets. They revolve for a certain period of time and then they are attracted by some other force and they move on, okay? So these are the differences between comets and planets. So you will keep that in mind when you are reading so that you don't get confused. And why is it easy to spot comets? Because they keep coming and going. Sometimes they will enter the atmosphere. If you keep a track of the news, you would know that right now, presently, the earth has got two moons. There is a temporary moon that has been around, revolving around the earth for 3 years now. Okay, so you should Google that as well. Try to find out more. When you read about a chapter, whatever related information you can find about it, you should do that. Okay. So now this story is about Dattada. Dattada is an amateur scientist. What is amateur? One who is not professional, one who tries to learn on his or her own. Okay. But one day he discovers a comet. That means he's been keeping a close eye in the sky and a new comet has come and he's been able to observe it. Alright, the brief introduction about the topic and comet and the author is done. We will now move on to the chapter itself. I will discuss Comet 1 and 2 together, even though these are two separate chapters in your book, but they are related and you will only enjoy a story if it is told like a story. Okay, so we will continue this story and we will discuss it in a flow. So the story begins in December. It's a moonless night in December, so the sky must be dark A burst of cool breeze from the wind was enough to disturb the sleep of Indrani Devi. Who is Indrani Devi? Indrani Devi is Dattada's wife. So Indrani Devi was sleeping and she was awakened because of a cool breeze. Half awake, she felt for the adjoining pillow. So she looked for her husband the moment she got up, but her husband was not there. So she gets up and she says, now he's gone to hobnob with that wretched Dibya. Now who is Dibya? Dibya is Dattada's telescope and hobnob is chit-chatting. So she is not happy about the fact that in the middle of the night, in December, her husband has gotten up and has gone to sit on the terrace once again to look into the sky. Even as she muttered her complaints, Indrani Devi could not repress her smile. Sometimes those habits of your family members or your loved ones, even though you don't like those habits, you smile about the fact that you knew about it. Like you know each other so well. She knew how utterly oblivious her husband was of the practical problems of living. Didn't his doctor tell him to take special precautions against the cold? So she is worried that it is cold and he is sitting on the terrace. But he wouldn't remember to put on a sweater even if it was lying on his bedside chair. How could he when Dibya had put her spell on him? So she is becoming a little hysterical and she's saying that telescope has put a spell on my husband. He doesn't remember anything but that telescope. So she picks up the sweater and she goes to the terrace and she finds him there. At least he's looking into Dibya's eyes, if not mine. So she's just being a little jealous here because she wants him to spend time with her. But Dattada is focused and he enjoys his trips to the terrace where he can look into the sky and hope to find something new. He goes there and he started this after his retirement. With his retirement money, he got some retirement money. He bought a telescope to fulfill his lifetime ambition of being a cosmologist. Okay. When he retired, he got ample amount of money to do it. Now, with his telescope duly installed, he would stargaze all nights when the nights were dark. Because when there is moon in the sky, you can see the moon's light would impact the light of the stars. So the sky would not be perfectly visible. But when it is a moonless night, he can see all the different stars. Like every other amateur astronomer, Dattada had a secret ambition that he would one day discover a new comet. So his ambition was to discover a comet. Let's find out if he does so. Now what are comets? Comets can be new, coming as they do from the remote corners of the solar system. Comets also orbit around the sun, but their orbits are highly eccentric. Just as I told you, their orbits are not regular. So once in a while a comet comes close to the sun and then it goes away. It reads into the darkness and it is not seen for centuries. Okay. So you can spot it when it comes near the sun, but when it goes further away from the sun, you cannot spot it any more. Now, Dattada sees something in the sky, but he says it's hardly a chance for amateurs to discover something new because professionals who are already there are lots of people who are looking in the sky trying to find out the new things that are happening in the sky. So he's saying, what chance did he stand with his 8-inch Dibya? Didn't professional astronomers have gigantic telescopes? So he's saying professional astronomers have got better technology, better equipment than me. What chance do I have to discover something before they do it? And it looked to Dattada that tonight was going to be the big night. But he's still hopeful. He's still hopeful that even with his 8-inch telescope, he would probably be able to find something new in the sky. For against the background of the same old stars, Dattada had detected a faint stranger. So the stars he knew, the position of the sky, stars in the sky he knew, but he had spotted something new today. So he thinks it's going to be that special day when maybe he'll discover something new. He re-examined the charts with him, checked his dibya for any smudges on the optics, did some calculation on his pocket calculator in torchlight. Though absent-minded about daily chores, he was meticulous in his observations. Just like Indrani Devi said, she said he was absent-minded about the daily things in the house, the things that he needed to take care of. But he was very meticulous when it came to his observations. Okay. Yes, there can be no mistake. What he was looking at had not been there earlier. Finally, he has fulfilled his dream of life. He has found a new comet. You think his wife is going to be happy about it? Definitely not. Now he's in the news, and the news says that a Calcutta man discovered a new comet. Thereafter, it took just 1 week for Comet Datta. So obviously the comet was named after the one who discovered it. It doesn't happen all the time, but in this case it was named after Dattada. So the comet was known as Comet Datta, and it was recognized and was named for 2A confirmation the findings and communicated it worldwide according to the accepted practice. The new comet was named after its discoverer. Okay. This brought in unwelcome publicity to the introvert Dattada. So not just the wife. It's not just that Indrani Devi is not happy about it. Even Dattada is not happy about it because he's got so much of publicity, and he's a introvert person. Who's an introvert person? A person who doesn't like to socialize, doesn't like to go out a lot. Now, running from one such ceremony, Dattada muttered to himself in disgust. So maybe he was called into a ceremony where people want to felicitate him for the discovery that he had done. So he says, I wish I hadn't discovered it. So the wife also says, I wish the same, but the reasons are different. He says, why? May I ask? The lady says, comets bring bad luck. And you have discovered one, definitely there will be bad luck associated with it. Dattada says that you have an MA degree, yet you are superstitious. Comets are harmless, it will pass by the earth harmlessly, there is no need to be troubled. So here on one hand you see Dattada's telling his wife not to worry, nothing's going to happen. The comet is not going to cause us any harm. But on the other side of the world in UK you see that people are getting together in King's College, Cambridge. And they are discussing something about the comet. Let's find out what it is. Someone named Dr. Forsyth is sitting and he's received a letter from John McPherson. And John McPherson wants to meet Dr. Forsyth. The signature carried the designation underneath, Defense Science Advisor, Her Majesty's Government. This must be serious. So the Defense Science Advisor has called Dr. Forsyth to meet him. I am Johnson, sir, Security Officer at Whitehall. I presume you know why I am here. So Johnson takes him to Dr. McPherson. So why has the Chief Defense Advisor called Mr. Forsyth? He's called him because Dr. Forsyth has written a paper. And that paper he had given to the editor of Nature magazine. And in that paper he has claimed that Comet Datta will collide with Earth. Now imagine a comet colliding with Earth. That would destroy lots of things. Too many lives will be lost. And the area which is impacted or hit by the comet will never be able to recover again. So now Jim McPherson is afraid that if people find out that something of this is going to happen, then they are going to fear and they are going to panic and they are going to be anxious and they are going to go running away. So he is telling Dr. Forsyth not to publish. So Forsyth is asking, my suppressing this paper won't hide the truth. So he's saying, even if I don't tell people, if I don't publish this paper, if the comet is going to hit the earth, it will. So Jim McPherson says, no, do not suppress it but tone it down. Add many ifs and buts to make your conclusion appear not so certain. I will exert all my influence in other countries to make them exercise a similar restraint for a while. So what does he want? Mr. Macpherson wants that people don't get scared. He wants that this information be kept within themselves until the time they can find a solution. So he's telling the writer, the one who's written in the paper, that Comet Datta is definitely going to hit the earth. He's trying to tell Dr. Fawcett that he should put lots of ifs and buts and not be clear about his conclusion, not claim that it will definitely hit the earth, because that will cause what? Panic. So they agreed on not giving the entire information to the public and try to be little ambiguous about the information so that people don't panic. After finishing their deliberation, and Sir John dropped Dr. Fawcett at Regent Street, and when Dr. Fawcett reached his hotel, he looked at the sky and the sky looked so peaceful. He was unable to imagine that in a few months this peacefulness will be destroyed and a comet will come and hit the earth. So he says, even though my predictions are absolutely correct, but on such a peaceful night it is hard to believe. Then people were gathered, astronomers, computer scientists, nuclear physicists, space technologists, all were gathered together to try and find a solution to this problem. Let's find out what solution they come up with. They discuss and they plan that they will launch something from the earth which would hit the comet midway, and that would change the direction of the comet. So when the direction of the comet will be changed, it will not hit the earth. So they want to start a new operation. It will be known as Operation Light Brigade. So Comet Datta could be marginally deflected from its path by giving a push. That's what they decide. So what do they want to do? They want to give it a push and change its direction so that it goes away from the earth. A gigantic nuclear explosion suitably placed, suitably directed and suitably timed could do the trick. So they want to launch a nuclear weapon from the earth which would hit Comet Datta, and the comet will not hit the earth. So they are saying success or failure, secrecy must be preserved. So till the time they are working on this idea, they don't want people to know, right? So Operation Light Brigade is launched, Project Light Brigade is launched. On 10th of October, the payload carrying the nuclear weapon will be launched, and it is to meet Comet Datta on November 15th. If it meets Comet Datta and Comet Datta is deflected, then it will not hit Earth. Otherwise on December 15th, it will hit the Earth. Now, Dattada, the discoverer of the comet, is called to England because they want to know more about the comet. John Macpherson asked Dattada that we are hoping that this experiment will deflect the comet, but no one knows how big or how small the comet is. So if they don't know, how will they plan their payload? They can only plan the payload if they know how big or small a thing is, but they don't know it. So Dattada says, do you think we will succeed? John Macpherson says, I'll give you an honest answer. I'm not buying any Christmas presents till December 15. So he's saying till the time December 15 is gone, till the time that comet has passed the earth, I will not be certain about it because I don't know if our experiment will pass or fail. So this experiment has started. Dattada has come to England. When he comes back, there are lots of people welcoming him, and when he goes home, he sees that his wife has organized a yagya. Now Dattada is a scientist. He does not believe in yagyas and pujas, but the wife, she believes that the comet is not something that is lucky. So she wants to organize a yagya to rule out the ill effects that the comet will set in. But Dattada does not agree. Now, Dattada doesn't agree to sit in the yagya. He refuses to do so. After that, he stays in regular correspondence with John Macpherson in England. He keeps giving his own contributions And Dr. Sir John is admired. He admires Dattada's scientific outlook, while the later admired the former's discipline and efficiency. So both of them liked each other for different reasons, and they had developed a sort of a friendship, but they never discussed about Project Light Brigade. They would just ask and give suggestions, but not talk about the main project. In the midst of all this, you see that the spacecraft is launched on time. The mission or the project is going as planned, and there is no problem yet. Finally, on 18th of November, Dattada receives a message, and the message says, "Dear Dattada, I am confident now of buying my Christmas presents on December 15." It was from John Macpherson, and what does it indicate? It indicates that the project was a success and they would all live through December 15th, and now they can go on and celebrate Christmas. Okay, so this was an indirect message that told Dattada that the project was a success. Dattada rushed to his favorite Rasgulla shop to celebrate. When Datta Comet Datta passed, people across the globe saw it and enjoyed it, but it didn't come close to Earth. It was at a distance of 80,000 kilometers. Now, why Fear is saying it could have been a major disaster had I not done that yagya. So he says, how does she know that the disaster has been averted? Like, how does she know that there is no issue anymore? Because I never mentioned Project Light Brigade to her. So he says, what do you mean? She says, it's because I performed that yagya. That is why the comet did not hit the Earth. It was because of my yagya and Guruji's yagya. That is why the comet did not hit the Earth. So Dattada says, I never performed the yagya. How could the yagya be a success? So she says, Guruji said that any descendant of yours could do it. So they made the grandson do the yagya. So now you see how in our country, this is a split image of Dattada as a scientist and as a Indian. So in India, how closely related science and religious beliefs are. Even though the lady had no clue about Project Light Brigade, yet she believed that her yagya solved the problem. So the message that this chapter wants to give us is, we can be rational, we can be practical, but we should not forget our heritage as well. So both the things will go hand in hand. So Dattada says, it seems hard to believe that both pictures were different aspects of contemporary human society. Dattada was aware of the gulf that separates the rich from the poor, the educated from the illiterate, the privileged from the underprivileged. But this gap between the rational and the superstition seemed to him far wider, far more sinister. Will human society ever succeed in eliminating it? So he's saying this gap between religion and rational, or superstition and rational, should be reduced. So superstitions should be based, if you have a belief, it should be based on science. He's saying if you want to be superstitious, you should at least find out the theory behind it. Then it will not be superstition, it will become scientific. There are so many things that we are told not to do by our elders without being given a reason for it. If there was a reason for it, it would have become easier for us to understand, right? So he's saying that reason and that logic should be given behind these religious or superstitious beliefs. Only then we'll have a cohesive society in which science and beliefs work together. I hope you all enjoyed the chapter. Have fun reading it as well. Thank you, class.